I'm Martin. As you know, I'm from UOB. I'd like to say thank you again to Cognizant for inviting me here today. I think I'm really delighted to be able to come here and share. So I think my day job, I oversee the branches in the eastern side of Singapore. So if you happen to be any of the UOB branches there, do pop in, mention my name, my staff will probably give you a very VIP service.
Better than VIP service, I'm sure.
And I think it's other than that, I also will spearhead digital initiatives to actually guide the seniors and make them be more comfortable with technologies.
Thank you, Martin. Right, next up we have Jenny. Right, Jenny is from IMDA and she's the for digital inclusion.
Yeah, I'm from IMDA. Actually, I've been with IMDA for quite a while, since IMDA days, over 10 years. I'm actually quite privileged to be working in the digital inclusion team, and very meaningful job helping the vulnerable segments. I think later in the discussions I'll share a little bit more about what I do. I think basically I know actually quite a few of you, so yeah, I'll share a little bit more later. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Jenny. And last up we have Chin Saho, right? And he is the Director for Community Partnership and Communication. So all the three of them are really involved in this aspect of
Hi everyone, I'm Saho. I'm from Singapore Pools. I think most of you would know the company I'm from. I know, first question, what's the next number, right? Yeah. Anybody asks me that and I speak to them. Yeah. Unfortunately, the system is foolproof. There's no way to predict any number actually. Alright, okay, but I think a lot of people, while they know the products that they produce, they are, I think most of you may not understand, I think, the rationale for how Pools was formed. I mean, just to let you know, for every dollar that we take in, 65 cents goes to prices, 30 cents goes to taxes. So every year we pay as much as 2 billion of taxes. That's about our SG bonus. And for the last 10%, right? 7%, which is considered our profits, every cent goes to the tote board, right? And they are the one that does massive funding, like to build the National Stadium, Gardens by the Bay, and stuff like that. So they do that portion itself. The last 3% is actually used for operating costs. But I think for Pools, what we do is we try to tighten our belts a little bit more. And I operate within this 3%. So the ops take some of this, but we try to see how much we can squeeze out. So that's where we try to do things and try to do things to benefit the community as well. All right, thanks.
All right, thank you, Samuel. Okay, so the topic for today, this afternoon, right, is really about how the various aspects of your representative companies or industry is able to contribute to the digital inclusion, right? So we have from the enterprise, commercial enterprise, we have from the government, we have from the private sector as well, but a little bit more on, what you represent is a little bit more on the NGO side, right? So maybe let's start with Martin, right? So I see from your website, right, your tagline is, "We support what drives every generation." Right? And that's something that is really unique, and your advertisement tells it, right? It tells stories rather than selling a product, right? Now, so what can you share with us about UOB in terms of what you are doing to enable and empower your customers, right, to benefit from digital technologies?
Okay, I think basically banks in general play a very important role in this space. As technology advances, I think consumers like us will expect banking to be simpler, safer, and more convenient when we do our banking online and also offline, correct? So at UOB, actually, we work very hard to basically integrate banking, right? And together with the various ecosystems out there to make banking basically seamless and intuitive as much as possible. So I think I'll probably give you some examples. For example, for the audience here who are basically UOB customers, I guess you might have logged into our UOB IT so far, and you have realized that we actually did a major revamp recently, right? I think with this new revamp, it's based around how customers actually they do their banking. how they make their payments. For example, and we'll roll out a new initiative like my QR and QR Pay, things like this, and also ultimately how we actually play, right? And we have a whole host of benefits on dining, and also I think the most recent one we have actually coupons on Grab and Deliveroo, which I think very step out pretty fast, like $5 or $20 off, so entirely free, So these are things that we try to encourage customers to get started using our internet banking. Then I think probably also another example which we actually do is, for example, our digital home loan solution. I think, as you know, other than getting tying the knot, right, and getting married, the next biggest decision we'll do actually is to purchase a new house. So when you actually get down to purchase and start looking at houses, the first question is like, am I overpaying? Because the seller will definitely want over the top of the line kind of price, but then what is a fair value? So we actually solve this by offering this free valuation tool that we can offer. So you like the property, you can go online, key in the address, the postal code, they can tell you what is a fair price for this property. Then with that, then you can go and bid. Go and tell the seller, hey, I think your house is only worth $500,000. Are you willing? Of course you go under, right? But then of course then the next step is finally you decide on your dream house. What's the next thing that we should be doing? So the next concern will be, will the bank grant me the loan, right? Because then traditionally you have to go and get your income documents, go and apply with the bank, probably 2 days, 3 days later, the bank will come back and say your loan is approved or your loan is not approved, right? So we actually solve that pain point also. So what we have is actually, we give you this instant loan approval. So the moment you key in this thing through the SingPass, we get your payroll, your information, we can instantly tell you or not how much the bank will lend you and the duration and all. So that we solved another pain point. So and then after that, when you get your house ready, you move in ready. Then the next thing is probably utilities, how your broadband, TV, and house. So we actually have this utility marketplace whereby we actually tie up with telcos, with the gencos and all this, so that we can actually offer you great discounts, on that. So it's a one-stop shop. So we don't have to do your research because we bring all the telcos all together. So for you to decide, right? Then also after that, for example, if you do travel, I'm not sure if you're aware, now you can use our UOB cards on our MRTs as well. So I think the common pain is, hey, I got a transit link card, and I got a credit card. I need both, right? So can I just have one? So actually now we enable that. And you use our ATM card, credit card or debit card on the trains, you also get rebates as well, right? So these are things that we actually do to integrate banking and the various ecosystem together, so that we make our daily lives more seamless. We can spend more time not learning how to do things, but actually to enjoy life in general. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Martin. Right. I think it's really interesting to see that banking is not just about taking money from people, right, and then putting it there or investing in it, but you actually gone a lot more into making it a way of life, right, in the transport and everything else.
Yeah.
Now, I think one of the things that maybe switching over a little bit to Jenny here. Now, as we go into the national movement of smart nation, right? Now, going digital, sometimes people can be very, very daunted and frightened by what's going on, right? In fact, I've seen a couple of times where an elderly person at MRT trying to top up an MRT card, and they freaked out, right? So I think there are pockets of people who are kind of like feeling being left out in this whole initiative. Now, so from IMDA perspective, what do you think you'll be looking at in terms of who are these people and what are the challenges they actually face, and what are they really affecting them?
Yeah, so I think when we talk about being excluded, there are two parts to it. One is being excluded in terms of devices, having the tools to do that. We talk about it being a digital access. The other one is you may have the tools, as we see in many of the seniors, but you don't have the literacy, the knowledge, the skills to go on board and to take advantage of the digital economy and the digital society. So at IMDA, actually, we focus on digital access as well as digital literacy. For access, not having the tools often is related to financial gaps, and that's where we have some schemes to try to close some of these financial gaps to give them the tools. But the large majority of people who are not on board actually do not have the skills and knowledge to get on board. I've actually brought some data from our survey. So from the access point of view, if you look at it, we have the broadband at home access. Actually, if you look at it, we've made some progress over the years, and we are at like 98%, not the highest, I think, in comparison with places like Japan and Korea, but still, I think we've progressed, and I think many around us actually do have the tools to get on board. The second chart actually talks about the school-going children. I think one of our focus is actually to focus on kids, making sure that they are not left behind, that they are on equal playing field with their peers. So, and we've kind of gone to, I think, close to 100%, I think, based on our survey. So it's good. I think now the kids have that equal opportunities, but what is it that they do with it is the next question. The second chart that I've brought with me is about usage. So I think, as you know, having the tools is not good enough. You've seen many seniors having the iPads and the latest phones, but they just can't take advantage and use the opportunities. So here is on internet users. We are at about 87%, that means 87% of our population actually are able to somehow use, to go online and take advantage of some of the services online. But the spectrum as to who are the ones using it, there's quite a bit of a gap based on age. So you can see that 55% of those 60 years and above are online. Meaning about close to half of them are still not able to take advantage of the things that we actually take for granted, the things that we can't live without today, right? So that's where the biggest gap in terms of who has been excluded. So we've been focusing a lot of our efforts in that group. And of course, for smartphones, again, it's been increasing, quite exponentially over the years, even among the kids. In fact, especially among the kids, you see a huge jump in terms of penetration. So I think you see that, there is the devices and there is also the skills, and I think the skills and the mindset is where we struggle the most. In fact, for the seniors, which is the space that I'm in, many of them, the 45% were not online. When you ask them why, they said there's no need to. For us, it's like we can't live without it, right? But for them, because I think change is something that we can't adapt to as well. So to them, what has worked for them over the past 70, 60 years, some of them like 70 plus.
100 years.
100 years, yes, we must profile Melissa's grandmother. She's an icon, I think. But for the rest of them, they do struggle with the changes, and that's where some of our programs, will focus on helping them to build confidence to come on board. And really, I think it is about helping them see that need. Right? I mean, for Melissa's grandmother, it is about that need to communicate with the grandchildren and the family members and all that. And that's what's going to motivate them to come on board. So technology, as we all know, is a tool, right, to get what we want. So I think we just need to, push on that need and to help them to see the benefits of getting online. And I think that's where we are at, and we have been making some progress. Some of the data that show that we're making progress, but there's still a long way to go. As you know, the next now is the Merdeka generation age, so we are doing a lot more at the 60 years and above. That would be our key focus at the moment in bringing them on board.
Thank you, Jenny. Right. So when we talk about the banking, people who are actually using the systems, from Martin, Jenny, talking about the seniors, right? But in reaching out to all these people, right, and especially some of those, maybe when we talk about the inclusivity, we talk about people who are a little bit more on the underprivileged side, right, in terms of what they can do, how they can access. Now, I think this is where the NGO comes in with a number of different things. Now, I guess, in my personal experience with some of the NGOs, organizations, or the beneficiaries that they have worked with, sometimes it's very appalling to see that they still work very, very heavily on manual processes. In fact, one of the organizations I've worked with in my church, right, is that their BCP, their business continuity plan, involve moving cabinets of files and everything else in case there's an emergency. So imagine how do you deal with that when you have emergency and you carry tons and tons of files, right? So from an NGO perspective, right, and you have this wonderful platform called iShine Cloud, right? No, maybe Sahao, you can actually share with us a little bit more in terms of what this iShine Cloud platform is and how you're intending to benefit this from NGO.
So thanks. Okay, iShine Cloud is actually a dream brought into reality for Singapore Pools. About 3 years ago, I think a group of my colleagues got together, and we were really wondering, because with technology changing the very way we live, the way everything that we do, we started realizing, hey, isn't the way that even how we want to donate, how we want to volunteer, going to change as well? Right. I just came back from Shenzhen. We visited Tencent headquarters. And for those of you that's using WeChat with the payment mode, they actually have a tab there for Tencent charity. And this in China today is the largest way for charities to get donations. And almost every charity always wants to get aboard this tab because they make it so easy. Right? Using the payment platform they have in WeChat, it's a messaging thing, you can send out the deal, and you can really get your friends and groups all to donate to whichever cause you want to. So the other part for us for Pools is this. I think we've done quite a lot in terms of money and funding that we've done. But what we suddenly realized is, hey, do we have anything within our assets and capabilities that we can share to enable charities, non-profits? Right? And that's where I think the first platform that we are looking at, and we call it Platform for Good, is iShine Cloud, which is a cloud-based platform for charities to do all their operations. It was only launched last year. We have now about 15 charities with almost 500 users on board. We intend to reach to easily 3,000 in the next 1-2 years. What we are doing is, iShine Cloud is actually a charity registered at Singapore Pools, right? It's in the partnership with NCSS, but what powers it is actually Pools. In the sense that our gambling servers, right, because we have 3 huge data centers in Singapore, our data centers are being used to house this, all the charities' information, and it's all protected by our firewalls. At the same time, our people will manage and provide whatever support the charity needs for their IT. Currently, I think we have about 1.5% of our workforce whose job is just looking at helping the charities for iShine Cloud alone. So with the growth, with what we expect for iShine Cloud over the next few years, likelihood that we will have to increase this number. But I think from Pools standpoint, we are very happy to see what we can do in what we call our capital for purpose strategy, in terms of leveraging our assets for the good of the NPOs and charities.
Thank you very much, Sahao. Right, and that brings up a very interesting point, right? Where companies like yourself are using the very, very advanced and strong assets that you can actually have to benefit the NGOs who usually doesn't get as much funding as the rest. Now, that will probably bring us to the part of money, right? Where banks are involved. You are equally equipped with very, very strong infrastructure for digital and technology. Now, so where do you see banks play, right? So Martin, where do you see banks play in terms of digital inclusion, right? And what can banking industry or your partners, so to say, in the industry, what can the banks do in order to be a little bit more inclusive?
Thank you, Arthur. I think it's a very good question. As technology advances, there's always a group of customers who are technically left behind. Because I think they are basically overwhelmed by the list, by the multiple solutions available, or they just simply distrust all these new technologies out there. So I see it as a job, our job basically to reach out to these people, to convince them or make them realize that actually technology can actually benefit them and make their lives more convenient, help them actually connect better with their loved ones, maybe through Facebook or WhatsApp, things like this, and also perhaps make it more convenient for their children to actually donate or give them money, right, every month. Because I mean, when you talk to some of them, they don't even know what's their bank account. But then with Pay Now, right, the children just need to know their mobile number and they can just do the monthly, allowance for their parents. So I think, but for starters, right, what I realize is for us to be more inclusive, our staff needs to be also be comfortable with the various tags out there, right? Because they need to be a firm believer of such things, and then with that, then they can actually actively promote such tag to our customers as well. Because if it's something or even a new thing that we launch at the bank, our staff do not use it, do not know nothing about it, they don't believe it with it. Even if they do promote it to a customer, it will be done without any passion. And then the customers will not be interested as well, right? So I think to equip our staff with all these relevant skill sets, we actually enroll our staff for courses like the Skills Future for Digital Workplace, things like future communication. I think these are all provided under this professional conversion program by WSG, right? So I think the government actually fund such programs, I think more than 70% and above. So I think these are things that you all can go explore to see what relevant courses might benefit your staff, and then actually and work with WSG to have them for the staff. So I think then also we also have employed a team of 30 digital advocates at our branches. I think they are deployed at various branches at our machines, as self-service machines, because you'll be surprised the number of seniors they don't even are comfortable using the ATM machines. They rather spend half an hour just to queue up and have their transaction done over the counter, when the transaction is as simple as a simple cash withdrawal. So actually, so this is what these digital advocates they will do, is basically guide our customers and tell them actually, convince them or show them how easy it is to withdraw money from ATM, to even make transfers, or even if there are questions on, say for example, our UOB Mighty, our mobile app, these digital advocates will advise the customers as well. So I think on top of that, we also have these quarterly digital clinics, whereby seniors can come for advice on any digital related questions. I think this is done together with Pools and IMDA, which I think is very popular. So we have one coming on the 14th. So if you have any seniors or friends who like to benefit from that, from such clinics, you can ask them to come down. You'll be at Tampines, our UB branch in Tampines. Then also I think we also work a lot with IMDA on the Pay Now outreach events in the last 2 years.
Thank you, Martin. I think it's interesting to see that the number of different services they are rolling out, right, and getting people involved. I think that awareness and all that is really one of the key part of it, right? People aware, and then people being passionate about what they do. Now, from ITA's perspective, right, we talk about people access and so forth. Now, what else can the people in Singapore, right, expect more from you? I'm sure it's never enough, right? But I think there's a little bit more, which is in the area whereby you're talking about the PWDs, right? People with no access to internet is easy to solve. But what about people with, from the PWD side, right? And families who have limited access to all these digital things. What is IMDA doing?
So we have a program, Enable IT, that reaches out to those with disabilities. One of them is actually providing funding. So we have the new PC program, which we give subsidized PCs to the low-income students. That is also extended to those with disabilities for them to actually apply to the scheme. But again, beyond funding, the other thing that we are working with some of the tech partners is to promote the awareness on assistive technology. So I think it's amazing how technology actually will help those with disabilities to overcome their disabilities and to be able to perform, right? So earlier I think we heard about some of these features, accessibility features, where it helps those with low vision to see better, using technology. And then of course we heard about the Dixon, who's not here today, but I think we've met him on several platforms in some of our programs as well, where he talks about using these text to speech kind of technology, which is actually common in many of the devices that we already have. So we've been doing a lot of forums, a lot of workshops, trying to share more about how we can tap onto these tools to enrich our lives. And the great thing is actually some of these tools not just help, those who are aging actually would be able to tap on these tools as well. So it'll be amazing to see how actually some of these tools that traditionally target the PWDs actually will benefit people like us who are aging as well, I mean, whether is it physical mobility or is it vision or hearing or anything like that. And that is the power of technology that we have today. But beyond what the government can do, I think really is how we can work in partnership with all of us here today to bring that benefit to the community. Martin shared about the e-payment digital clinic where we work with UOB and Cognizant, a bank and a technology company and a government coming together to bring payment, the benefits and convenience of going online and enjoying digital payments to really everyone in the streets. So that's just one of it. It's quite interesting how actually the conversation started, because we've been working with Martin on bringing payment and digital payment and everything to the seniors, and together with LTA, actually we help seniors to go to the MRT and to learn how to top up their MRT card using the kiosk. I mean, it's as simple as that. And then, of course, separately, we've been working with Cognizant on other volunteering opportunities, and they told us that they wanted to do more, and that was how the e-payment digital clinic came about. We just kind of brought the two companies together, and they were actually working with each other already separately in their business context, and then we just got it together, and I think it's been quite an amazing journey. We're doing our third round, and we will be doing I think the fourth one by the end of the year, and it's really helping more seniors to come on board. But besides this, I think we've been working with Cognizant on the digital clinic. In fact, I think I was there when Anand was helping the man, right? It was a man, an old man who brought his new phone from was it Simei or something like that, and so it's amazing some of these stories that we see, how it brought so much joy to the senior on the ground, and there's so many other stories. What I wanted to perhaps reach out to you is to first take part in the digital participation pledge, if you allow me to sell my koyo. So I mean, I've got some brochures at the back. I mean, to pledge to say that you will come on board and do something for the community, and then if you have an idea of what you want to do, go ahead and do it, like what some of you are already doing on the ground. But if not, if you want ideas on what you can do, come talk to us, like how UOB and Cognizant came to talk to us in HP, and many of you here. Actually, we started with that conversation, and from there we grow the idea into a project, and then we look at how we can scale it into the communities. So I think that is the value that we can bring to the partners here, that because of some of our network and some of what we know, the direction from the government and all that, we can then perhaps bring people together and to make a project happen and to target a particular community and to help that community benefit from technology in a digital society.
Thanks, Jenny. All right, I think we can talk a lot more. We're running out of time, but I think it's very important to hear something from Sampo as well, right? You mentioned that iShine platform is really a dream, right? And a dream cannot just simply be up to a certain point. I'm sure you have much greater plans for what iShine Cloud is going to be. So maybe you can give us a little bit insights into what is next for iShine Cloud.
Okay, maybe I'll share a bit more what Pools is doing in building more platforms for better, for good. Actually, just to share a funny story. A friend of mine from the People's Association had a chat with me over coffee. And he told me, hey, you know, Saul, we have some difficulty reaching out to certain groups of people. And one group of these people are males above 45, because these people would never go to the community center to join any activities unless their wives or girlfriends drag them along. And he spoke to me, I just realized, hey, aren't this a large part of the Pools customer base that go to all our shops? Yeah, seriously. So I was like, huh, really? Yeah. So, which is why I think like what you said, sometimes just talking about whatever bugs you actually would be a good way of doing it. Because you never know when the next person you speak to has a solution already on hand. Which is why for what we are doing now, iShine Cloud is the first one. The next one is really what can we do with our customer base. Pools has about 300 shops across Singapore, right? 90 of them belong to Pools. Of course, there's some big and some small. But really, we see them as potential for any of NPOs to work with us if you really want to reach out to the heartlands. And really, we see that as benefit. And like now, I think we're working with RSVP. I think they want their volunteerism month is coming soon. They want to use our shops really to see how they can set a pool, speak to our customers as they are, just after they buy the product, speak to them, to ask them, do you want to join volunteerism? And if you ask me, it's quite interesting because, you know, just to let you know, our customers, you know, people do believe that if I do something good, I can't say anything, but that's the same point. So that's the point I think for Pools, what we're trying to do. We are very happy to speak to NPOs or any different groups of people, and we have actually a lot to offer. And really, my point is really, we're happy to speak to people, and really let's see how we can build a dream together, just like what iShine Crowd came up. Thanks.